When Soccer Became a Money-Making Machine by David Russo. When did the beautiful game become big business? For generations, soccer was known as the beautiful game because of its extraordinary simplicity. Give people a ball and enough space, and a game can begin almost anywhere. It has been played in enormous stadiums, neighborhood streets, schoolyards, beaches, parks, and dusty fields across the world. Yet, somehow, this simple game became the foundation of a massive global entertainment industry involving broadcasting companies, multinational sponsors, billionaire owners, investment funds, superstar athletes, merchandise, video games, streaming platforms, social media, and competitions capable of capturing worldwide attention. And now the spectacle surrounding some major soccer events can feel almost as carefully produced as the action itself. Players have personalities and signature celebrations. Fans paint their faces and imitate their heroes. Highlight videos travel around the world within minutes. Major events are surrounded by music, entertainment, celebrities, and enormous anticipation. So when did soccer become more than a game and turn into a money-making machine? Perhaps the answer begins with an important realization. Money did not make soccer valuable. Soccer became valuable to business because people already cared deeply about it. And the modern soccer industry has become remarkably good at giving even more people reasons to care. Introduction. From the streets to a global industry. Soccer's commercial success begins with something money cannot manufacture easily: emotional attachment. Supporters do not normally experience their clubs as ordinary products. A club can represent a hometown, childhood memories, family traditions, national identity, friendship, rivalry, and belonging. People may inherit their loyalty from parents and grandparents and eventually pass it to their own children. That creates a relationship far deeper than the connection most consumers have with a company. Once business recognized the enormous attention generated by those relationships, soccer's commercial potential became difficult to ignore. But something else has happened as soccer has expanded. The industry has learned how to transform matches into stories and players into personalities. A young viewer doesn't necessarily need to understand formations or know a club's history to become interested. One spectacular goal, charismatic player, signature celebration, viral highlight, dramatic rivalry, or major international tournament can provide the entrance. From there, the viewer may begin following players, comparing statistics, wearing jerseys, watching matches, playing soccer, and eventually identifying as a fan. This audiobook follows how soccer developed that extraordinary ability to turn attention into interest, interest into fandom, fandom into culture, and culture into one of the most powerful businesses in global entertainment. Chapter 1. Before the billions, when clubs belonged to communities. Long before soccer clubs became international brands, many were deeply connected to particular communities. Clubs emerged from workplaces, schools, churches, neighborhoods, and groups of people who wanted to organize and compete. Supporters often lived near the grounds, knew the surrounding streets, and identified the club with the place itself. The team was not something encountered primarily through television or social media. It was physically and culturally part of the community. That history helps explain why soccer supporters often speak about clubs differently from the way customers speak about businesses. A company can change its logo or marketing strategy and perhaps annoy some consumers. When a soccer club changes something associated with its identity, supporters can react as though something personal has been altered. Colors, badges, stadiums, songs, rivalries, and traditions accumulate meaning across generations. The economic value of a club therefore rests partially upon cultural assets that were created long before anyone attempted to calculate their commercial worth. Modern soccer has not completely erased that local identity. Instead, something remarkable happened. Local institutions became global ones. A supporter living thousands of miles away may now feel passionately connected to a club located in a city they have never visited. That expansion created enormous opportunity, but it also established one of the central tensions of modern soccer. Can a club remain an institution belonging emotionally to its community while simultaneously operating as an international entertainment business? Chapter 2. The crowd became the product. At first, the economics of soccer appeared relatively straightforward. People wanted to watch matches, so they purchased tickets and entered stadiums. Bigger crowds meant more revenue, but the spectators possessed another kind of value that would eventually become even more important. Thousands of people concentrating their attention on the same event created an audience. And wherever large audiences gather, businesses become interested. Advertising and sponsorship turned attention into something that could be sold. Companies realized that attaching their names to teams, competitions, broadcasts, stadiums, and famous players could place their brands before enormous numbers of people. A supporter might believe they were simply watching 90 minutes of soccer, yet surrounding those 90 minutes was an increasingly sophisticated commercial ecosystem competing for their attention. This changed the economic meaning of the crowd. Supporters were still customers purchasing tickets and merchandise, but collectively, they also became the audience that made broadcasting and sponsorship valuable. The passion of supporters became one of soccer's greatest economic resources. The game had discovered a powerful commercial equation. The more intensely people cared, the more valuable their attention became. Chapter 3. Television changed everything. A stadium creates a natural financial limitation because only so many people can fit inside it. Television shattered that limitation. A match occurring in one city could suddenly be watched by people far beyond the stadium. As broadcasting technology improved and television ownership expanded, soccer discovered that the same 90 minutes could be distributed to enormous audiences without adding another seat to the ground. Broadcasting rights consequently became increasingly valuable. Networks understood that live soccer possessed a special advantage: uncertainty. A recorded program can be watched whenever someone chooses, but supporters often want to experience a major match as it happens because nobody knows the result. That urgency makes live sport unusually powerful programming. Broadcasters were therefore willing to compete for the right to show competitions capable of attracting dependable audiences. Television also transformed clubs and players. Teams that had once been primarily local institutions gained supporters throughout countries and eventually around the world. Famous players became recognizable in homes thousands of miles from where they played. Sponsors received international exposure. More broadcasting money entered the sport, allowing clubs to spend more, which helped attract more talent and create increasingly marketable competitions. Soccer was entering a commercial feedback loop. Greater exposure created greater revenue, and greater revenue could create an even larger spectacle. Chapter 4: The Premier League and the New Soccer Economy. The formation of the Premier League in 1992 became one of the defining moments in soccer's commercial evolution. English top-flight clubs entered a new structure at a time when satellite television was changing the media landscape. Broadcasting was no longer simply documenting soccer. Increasingly, soccer was becoming premium entertainment around which broadcasters could build subscriptions and audiences. As broadcasting revenues grew, English clubs gained greater financial power. International stars arrived. Stadiums changed. Presentation became increasingly polished, and the competition became easier to market internationally. A league rooted in English cities gradually developed an audience stretching across continents. Someone in Asia, Africa, North America, or the Middle East could follow the same clubs, players, and rivalries as someone living near the stadium. The significance extends beyond England. The Premier League demonstrated just how successfully a domestic soccer competition could be packaged as a worldwide entertainment product. Other leagues and competitions were also pursuing international audiences, sponsorships, and media revenue. The industry increasingly understood that the largest potential marketplace was no longer the population surrounding a stadium or even the country containing the league. It was the world. Chapter 5: Players become multi-million-dollar assets. As more money entered soccer, the economics surrounding players changed dramatically. Elite footballers were no longer valued only according to what they might contribute during the next match. Clubs had to consider contracts, transfer values, age, potential, marketability, resale possibilities, and the financial consequences of success or failure. A human athlete could simultaneously be a competitor, employee, celebrity, investment, an enormously valuable asset. The transfer market made this especially visible. Clubs began spending increasingly large amounts to acquire players capable of improving results. The logic could be rational even when the numbers appeared extraordinary. A great player might help a team qualify for lucrative competitions, win trophies, attract sponsors, increase international interest, sell merchandise, and strengthen the entire commercial profile of the club. The purchase price, therefore, represented more than the ability to kick a ball. But the enormous financial value attached to players also reveals the strange economics of professional sport. A player's perceived worth can rise or fall because of performance, injury, age, contractual circumstances, or market demand. Careers that took years of childhood training and sacrifice to build can be discussed publicly in the language of assets and valuations. Soccer's financial evolution did not merely increase what players earned. It changed how the industry calculated what a player was worth. Chapter 6: When soccer players became personalities. One of the most important developments in modern soccer is that audiences are no longer being asked simply to care about teams. They are being introduced to personalities. Great players have recognizable styles, celebrations, stories, rivalries, mannerisms, and identities. Social media and highlight culture allow supporters to encounter those personalities even when they are not watching complete matches. The player can become the doorway through which someone discovers the sport. You can see this influence in fan culture. People paint their faces and dress in team colors. Children imitate famous celebrations and signature moves. Fans recreate goals and tricks in short videos. They debate which superstar is better. A great play can be clipped, shared, replayed, imitated, and discussed around the world. The 90-minute match may have ended, but the entertainment created by the match continues circulating long afterward. That is enormously important to the business of soccer because personalities create stories, and stories give people reasons to return. A casual viewer may initially watch because everyone is talking about a major international match. Then one player catches their attention. They watch another highlight. They learn the player's name. They compare that player with another star. Eventually, they want to watch the next match. The industry has not merely captured another viewer for 90 minutes. It may have created another soccer fan. Hello, this is David Russo. Something interesting happened to me while I was thinking about this audiobook. I realized I had gotten caught up in the soccer buzz myself. I started noticing soccer more often. I wanted to see the great plays. I found myself comparing players and wondering who was better. I even challenged myself to see how many times I could juggle a soccer ball without letting it touch the ground, and started thinking about setting my own personal record. And that made me realize just how powerful the growth of soccer has become. I was seeing videos of fans with their faces painted, people imitating players' signature moves and celebrations, and individual players being presented with personalities that made you want to know more about them. Major soccer events seemed surrounded by an enormous amount of anticipation and entertainment. The game was still at the center, but an entire culture had grown around it. Then I thought about the younger generation. Kids aren't simply being introduced to soccer as a game anymore. They're being introduced to the players, celebrations, highlights, rivalries, personalities, videos, an entire culture surrounding it. And if someone like me can notice that excitement, get pulled into comparing the great players, and suddenly find myself trying to juggle a soccer ball, that tells me something. The soccer machine isn't only making money, it's making new soccer fans. Chapter 7. The Billionaire Ownership Era. Once soccer clubs became globally recognizable businesses, they attracted a different kind of buyer. Wealthy individuals, corporations, investment groups, and state-linked investors increasingly saw major clubs as desirable assets. Their motivations were not necessarily identical. Some sought financial growth, others sporting glory, prestige, international visibility, strategic influence, or some combination of these objectives. A famous club offers something few conventional businesses can provide. It can command worldwide attention every week while possessing a deeply committed supporter base that may remain loyal even though years of disappointing performance. The club carries history, emotion, media exposure, and cultural significance. For an owner capable of increasing its international reach, commercial partnerships, stadium revenue, and sporting success, that combination can be extraordinarily attractive. Ownership changes also create intense debate because supporters rarely regard clubs as ordinary private property. Legally, someone may own a club, but emotionally, generations of supporters may believe the club belongs to them as well. That produces a fundamental conflict. If an owner controls the business, but supporters carry the identity, who should determine the future of the institution? Modern soccer has never completely resolved that question. Chapter 8. The transfer market goes into overdrive. Transfer fees provide perhaps the most visible symbol of soccer's financial explosion. Each new record-breaking deal makes people wonder how the ability of one athlete can possibly command such enormous sums. But those numbers become easier to understand when viewed within the wider economics of the sport. Clubs themselves are generating and competing for enormous amounts of revenue, making exceptional talent increasingly expensive. Scarcity drives the market. There may be millions of people capable of playing soccer, but only a tiny number can perform at the level required by the world's biggest clubs. An even smaller number combine elite ability, youth, consistency, commercial appeal, and the potential to influence major competitions. When several wealthy clubs want the same scarce player, the price can rise dramatically. The danger is that rising revenue can create rising expectations. When clubs spend enormous sums, supporters expect victories. When victories fail to arrive, managers can be replaced and more players purchased. Spending becomes part of an escalating competition in which standing still may feel like falling behind. The transfer market therefore illustrates the machine perfectly. Money enters soccer because of success and attention. Then that money is spent attempting to purchase more success and attention. Chapter 9. When the match became a show. Modern soccer discovered that anticipation itself could become part of the product. The audience does not necessarily arrive only when the referee starts the match. Promotion can begin days or weeks earlier through advertisements, interviews, predictions, player stories, social media clips, documentaries, press conferences, rivalries, and countdowns. By kickoff, the viewer may already feel that they are witnessing an event rather than simply another game. Some major soccer events have purchased further into entertainment presentation, surrounding the competition with music, performances, celebrity appearances, fan zones, ceremonies, and other attractions. Where appropriate, even halftime entertainment can become part of the larger event experience. This resembles a broader trend throughout professional sports. If millions of people are already watching, every moment surrounding the competition has potential entertainment and commercial value. The hype works particularly well when the competition lives up to it. A dramatic match validates all the anticipation that preceded it. Spectacular goals generate new highlights. Players create memorable moments. Social media explodes with reactions. People who initially watch because of the hype may return because they discovered they genuinely enjoyed the sport. In that sense, hype doesn't necessarily replace the game. When the soccer is good enough, hype can introduce the game to people who might otherwise never have watched. Chapter 10. The World Cup and the Power of International Soccer. International soccer possesses a special ability to attract people who may not regularly flow club competitions. National identity provides an immediate reason to care. Someone who cannot name many professional clubs may still understand what it means when their country plays another country. Major international tournaments can therefore reach beyond established soccer audiences and bring casual viewers into the sport. The personalities become especially important during these moments. Broadcasters and digital media can introduce viewers to the stars that they should watch, their histories, strengths, rivalries, and previous accomplishments. Suddenly, the unfamiliar athlete becomes a character in a story. When that player produces a spectacular moment, the viewer already understands why it matters. Soccer becomes easier to enter because the audience has been given someone to follow. Commercially, the potential is enormous. Major international competitions generate broadcasting, sponsorship, advertising, hospitality, tourism, merchandise, and worldwide attention. But once again, the business works because the emotion is authentic. A sponsor can place its logo around the tournament, but it cannot manufacture what someone feels when their country scores. Business surrounds that emotion because the emotion is valuable. Chapter 11. Creating the Next Generation of Fans. Perhaps the most valuable person to the future soccer industry is not today's lifelong supporter. It may be the child who has just discovered the game. A young person who becomes fascinated with soccer today could potentially watch matches, buy merchandise, follow players, play video games, attend matches, participate in youth soccer, and eventually introduce another generation to the sport. Modern media makes those entry points almost endless. One child might discover soccer through a World Cup. Another might see an incredible highlight online. Another may imitate a famous player's celebration. Someone else might receive a soccer ball and begin trying the moves they saw on the screen. The boundary between watching the sport and participating in its culture becomes increasingly thin. This may be one of the most powerful parts of the entire money-making machine. Soccer doesn't simply monetize the audience it already possesses. Its biggest events, stars, highlights, personalities, and digital culture can continually recruit new people into that audience. Today's viral clip can create tomorrow's supporter. Today's child juggling a soccer ball in the backyard can become tomorrow's lifelong fan. Chapter 12. How big can the machine become? Soccer's commercialization may still be far from complete. Streaming technology is changing how audiences watch matches. Clubs are pursuing supporters in emerging markets. Women's soccer has substantial opportunities for further growth. Investors continue searching for opportunities throughout the sport. Data, artificial intelligence, personalized media, digital experiences, and new distribution models may create revenue streams that previous generations could never have imagined. Future supporters may interact with clubs and players in ways that go far beyond watching 90-minute matches. Personalized content, immersive experiences, direct player communication, gaming, social platforms, and technologies not yet widely adopted could make soccer even more integrated into everyday entertainment. A match may increasingly become the center of an ecosystem rather than the entirety of the product. But soccer must be careful with the resource upon which the entire machine depends. Supporter passion should not be treated as infinitely exploitable. Ticket prices, broadcasting access, competition structures, ownership decisions, and excessive commercialization can affect how people feel about the game. The future of soccer's business may therefore depend upon recognizing a simple truth. The machine can keep making money only while people continue caring about what happens on the field. Conclusion: the game inside the business. Soccer's journey from community grounds to a global entertainment industry is not simply the story of corporations discovering a profitable sport. It is a story of businesses discovering the financial value of human attention, loyalty, identity, personality, and emotion. Television multiplied the audience. Sponsors monetized the attention. Wealthy owners purchased clubs. Players became international personalities. Social media made their greatest moments instantly shareable. Major events became spectacles, and every new child who begins following a player or kicking a ball represents the possibility of another lifelong relationship with the game. Yet somewhere today, someone will still place two objects on the ground to represent goalposts and start playing. Another person will see an incredible goal online and try to reproduce it. A child will imitate a favorite player's celebration. Someone who never considered themselves a soccer fan will unexpectedly watch a major match and wonder when the next one is being played. That may be the most extraordinary accomplishment of the modern soccer machine. It has found increasingly sophisticated ways to sell soccer without eliminating the incredibly simple experience at the center of it. So when did soccer become a money-making machine? There may be no single moment. It happened gradually as television, sponsorship, celebrity, international competition, investment, social media, and entertainment discovered new ways to capitalize on the world's fascination with the game. But perhaps the machine's greatest achievement isn't how much money it can make from the people who already love soccer. It's how effectively the excitement surrounding the game can make someone new stop, watch, choose a favorite player, pick up a ball, and become part of soccer themselves.